Morning, Stella. Okay, let's have a look and see how we can set up some facial controllers using the script that we worked together on. At the moment, as we've seen before, we've got our character and there are joints which have been put inside the face which have a skinning relationship, and they've been parented to the base of the head. All well and good. What we want to do was to create some spheres and then make them into controllers. So the way we're going to work with this is we're going to create a sphere and we're going to parent it in to the joint, but we're going to leave its own transforms where it was originally, so that instead of having to select a joint and move it, we can select an object. So the simple way of doing this is to create a NURB sphere and then we will go into the hypershade, graph the connections to it, delete the history and break the connections. So that gives us our little non-renderable control. The next thing I want to do is to scale it down to something about the same size as the joint. So I'm pressed W to transform and holding down V to snap, and I'll scale it down to about that size, and keep note of how big that scale was. So on the channel bar, that's about 0.2, say about 0.3. So that's the size that I want things to be. So I'll return that back to the origin. So let's just have a look at where that is now. So it's back down at his feet, between his legs. There's a little sphere down there. That thing there. And an important step at this moment is to freeze the transformations, because the next step is the step where it will take the shape node in its untransformed state and then parent it in. So if any scaling we've done will be lost. Similarly, that's why I moved it back to the origin. If you move it to the face and then freeze the transformations there, it'll give you some weird offset. So we freeze the transformations there so that there's 100% scale. And the way that this will work is that we select the shape node and then the joint that we're interested in selecting. So I've got the shape node and the joint, and in the script editor we type parent -s -r, and what that does is it strips the shape node out of that group and it is now parented somewhere. There it is. There's the cheek, and if you open it up you'll see that there's now a NURB sphere parented underneath there. What that means now, instead of if I don't have joints showing, I can select that guy there and then move it all around. And for the color purposes, it's easiest just to throw it into a layer, and so now it's a red dot. It takes the color of the layer. So let's do that for all of the parts of the body in one. So I'll delete that and we'll delete the shell and bring back our joints. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select each one of these joints. So there's a couple of ones underneath there. Oops, there's one underneath there. That's right. One there, one there, one there, one there, one in the cheek, the eyes, the brows, and we're all good. So what we're going to do now is we've got a little script. First line of the script will make an array of all of the things which have been selected. So now we've got a result. The list has all of those joints that we've selected. And just to explain the code line by line, the first line creates a sphere. It uses the joint name and adds the suffix underscore s. It then takes the sphere and makes it 0.3, which is what we did before. We scaled it down, and then it selects the sphere and then freezes the transformations. That's what that line does. Next thing it does is that for each of the joints, or the spheres in this case, it goes through and selects the shape node. That's what this list relatives line does. So it selects the shape node and puts that name into the variable list s. So then the next thing it does is it selects the shape node, selects the joint, and then it runs the command that we ran before. Only difference is now I can just select this whole for loop, press enter, and then we've got controls for every single part of the face. Alright, and let's get our outliner up. We can trash all that stuff now, and we can hide everything except for NURB surfaces. Select all of them. Now that's going to select the joints. What we want to do is press the down arrow, and that selects the shapes. Now if I show what's connected to all of them, you'll see connected to the shapes, and that's why I have to press the down arrow, because otherwise it would have selected the joints themselves. All the shapes are connected to the initial shading group, which is Lambert. So I can select all the connections, press delete, and we have unrenderable dots. And the best part about that is now I can set up a couple of simple layers with different colors. Say one with a green, one with I don't know, what's another color that Maya doesn't use much? Purple. Okay, so you may want to have the eyebrows as being purple. There's your purple eyebrows. The tops of the eyes you might want to be green, maybe the tops of the mouth also green. And the bottom of the eyes you might want them to be blue. Same with the bottom of the mouth, blue. And then things like cheeks and stuff, you might want them red. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. The point is that you've got a color coordinated little control system now. We're not showing joints anymore, we're just showing polygons and NURB surfaces, but now you've got your stuck on controller, and if we show curves, you'll see that when we rotate our head from side to side, the controllers stick with the face, and if we don't want to see them, we can just hide them. Or if there's a specific one you want to concentrate on, just the brows, there's just your brows. Whoa, too easy. Okay, so that deals with that, Stella, and hopefully that should set us in the clear. So there we go, and for anyone else who's interested, that's how you do facial controls.